Well, thank you guys very much for making time to come and join us. A lot of people spend a lot of hours in thinking and putting this together, and I just want to take 1 second and thank Tim Clark. I don't know if he's in the room, but he works tirelessly. Is Tim here, or is he not in the room right now? Anyway, he works tirelessly to put this together and has done a great job. So I just wanted to personally give him a thank you. As was mentioned, my name is Tiffani Bova. I'm the Global Customer Growth and Innovation Evangelist here at Salesforce. Prior to being here, I was with Gartner for a number of years, watching sales strategy and sales transformation, and it gave me a real opportunity to travel around the world and watch how people were trying to reimagine the way in which they engage with, sell with, and service their customers. And I'd say that the reason I came and joined Salesforce was for one reason, was there's no other company I could find that was so honed in on customer success and making sure that not only our customers are successful, but our customers' customers are successful. And that's really where the art of the possible came from. It was trying to think about when you want to improve your sales process, you have to think about the customer first. And when you do that, all kinds of different decisions get made when you start thinking that I'm doing things for my customer's customer, not just for the person you may be initially selling to. What has triggered a lot of this change, and you'll hear about lots of it this week, but disruption and innovation are two words that get used a lot. I did an innovation summit yesterday, and we had a little exercise that we went around the room and asked everybody to define the word disruption and innovation. What was interesting, none of the two were the same. Nobody said sort of the same combination of words. And so to me, disruption and innovation from a selling perspective is that there's nothing more disruptive right now, more so than the technology, but the customer. We all, as consumers, have far more power in our hands, more decision at our fingertips than we ever have before. And that drives very different decisions when you are on your own buying journey, which then means people who are selling to you have to think differently. When you look at the market and you think, what is the one thing I can't seem to get my arms around? It's speed. The speed in which customers are changing their decisions, the speed in which businesses are changing the way they go to market, the speed in which they're leveraging technology. And so the problem is that you have to find a way to get to where your customers are going. As we say here in the US, to skate where the puck is, and you'd have to know where it's going to get there. You want to make sure that you understand where your customers are going to be. So getting there before they get there means you can welcome them. And welcoming them is part of that experience that you want to drive. The second thing that's disrupting is this usage of technology. I have been selling for a long time. I call myself a recovering seller. While I no longer carry a quota, I feel like I sell every day, naturally because of where I work, but more importantly, just because I think in our everyday lives, as Daniel Pink says, to sell is human, we want to make sure that we are always putting our best foot forward. And when you use technology, I remember doing it with an application called ACT. So I'm going to date myself a little bit. A single user on my dual disk drive, DOS-based laptop, NEC. And when I was using that, what would happen is the rest of my sales team would be like, wow, Tiffany's always out on calls, she's always hitting her quota, she's got this great relationships with customers, what is it? Well, it was the usage of the technology, and it didn't matter to me whether it was Post-it notes, Excel spreadsheets, ACT, or now Salesforce. The bottom line was I believed that it made me a better seller no matter what. And so making sure that you exploit the technology at your fingertips. Now, the challenge here is there's so much technology that we have to make sure you're using the right technology at the right time for the right reasons. You don't overburden your sales force or overburden your employees with too much technology, which then makes it not a seamless and frictionless experience. More importantly, the relationship between the sales rep and technology is not always great. Let me be clear about what I mean with this. How many of you are sellers in the room, or sales reps? And how many of you wake up every morning going, I can't wait to enter data? No, you don't. And the second thing you say is, I don't wake up to enter data that then no one looks at. So it isn't just about entering data, it's about entering data for what reason. And so the relationship between the sales rep and the technology is actually not one of affection. You have to get your sales forces, right, and your people, your service people, your customer service, everybody who's using technology to improve the customer relationship, you have to get them to want to show up every day, fire up their laptop and go, I can't wait to see what information is going to push to me so that I can be smarter today. The moment your Salesforce changes their relationship with technology and opts in, the world opens up. When they show up and say, oh my God, it's another tool, I got another training, it's something else they want me to do, it's another list of things. I like to say it's like managing the dust. Wait, we're being recorded. Let me think of another way to say that. When you have to over-micromanage your Salesforce, let me be really politically correct, you say to them, I don't trust what you're doing. And if you constantly are running reports and their relationship feels like this is a way my manager manages me, it then doesn't deliver the right kinds of behavior. They resist the change, they resist the technology, and all the investments you made don't give you the ROI. You have adoption problems, you have usage problems. And it is really behavior and culture and mindset, not a technology problem. So when you think about exploiting the technology, make sure you don't forget the human side of technology so that the users themselves actually want to fire up that laptop and do what they need to do, or their mobile phone, or their watch, or whatever it is that they're using to communicate with the technology itself. The next is customer experience. So if we say that speed is one, technology is the second, right? The pace of change is happening. The relationship with technology has to be one in which people feel like they're exploiting the capabilities. The third one is that the brand, your brand, not only your company's brand, but your personal brand, is the sum of all the touch points you have with a customer. Whether it's a tweet, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's social, whether it's face-to-face. And what I like to say here as well, to sort of really mix it up, is what is the definition of a customer? We could argue for those of us that used ACT and double dual disk drive DOS-based laptops, that the customer was always a person, and we would go physically show up and we would sell to them. And then it was sort of phone-based selling, and we would take orders over fax machines. They're these little things that paper comes out of. And you would then take an order, but there was always a human element to it. What's changing now is the definition of customer is changing. And what I mean by that is, my washing machine will know that I've done 50 loads. It will then talk to my Tide stick that is attached to my washing machine and order me laundry detergent when it's time for me to get more laundry detergent because my washing machine has done 50 loads. In that case, who is Tide's customer? Who's Tide's customer? Is Tide's customer Tiffani Bova? Is Tide's customer my washing machine? Is Tide's customer the Amazon stick that I have on my... Who is the customer? The thing and the thing are now talking to each other, communicating with each other, conducting commerce with each other, and by the way, they have this relationship with each other. And when the wireless goes out in the house, that little stick lets me know, hey, wait. I don't have a relationship with whomever it is I'm supposed to be talking to. So the customer is now shifting. Your Fitbit talks to your scale, locks your refrigerator. When that happens, I'm out. That's it. Everything's getting unplugged. I'm leaving. Stage left. But at the end of the day, who is the customer in that conversation? So you can't just think about customer in the way we always have. Because at the end of the day, the customer is changing. Things are selling to things. You have engagement and commerce that's happening without humans touching. So the brand is the sum of all your touch points, regardless of whether it's human, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's machine to machine. There is a large box retailer who now has robots doing customer service in the aisles. They're in the home improvement business. You can guess it's one of the three of the big guys. And why they did that was the robot, it's the simple question. If you've ever gone to one of these places and you want to ask a question, someone will say, oh, it's 3 aisles over, that's not my department, let me call somebody. Because you've walked 3 aisles, you don't even remember which aisle you came from, because they all look the same. Now they want to have robots be able to answer those very basic, simple questions, all about improving customer experience. So now that is a touch point from a brand to a customer at point of purchase. And the intelligence behind that robot is coming from a lot of the things that you will hear throughout the week here at Dreamforce around using that machine learning, using artificial intelligence, using things like Einstein, et cetera. And when you do these 3 things, when your Salesforce is engaged with the technology, when you understand customer experience is the combination of all your brands, when you get to the customer, you go to where the customer is going before they get there, here's what happens. Your best Salesforce is actually your customers advocating on your behalf. And I would say this to you, that there is no other place I've seen from a tech conference where customers speak more highly on a brand's behalf than Dreamforce. If you watch our keynotes, if you watch any of our breakouts, et cetera, it's our customers telling the story about what we've done for their business, right? Our customers telling the story, and our customers telling their story about how it's helped them serve their customers. And that story is far more powerful than us standing up there and talking about the technology. So your greatest Salesforce is your customers advocating on your behalf. Your worst Salesforce is your customers not advocating on your behalf or saying bad things about you online, because socially that just happens so quickly. So the goal for you when you use technology, and I've heard this a lot, is, it's quote to cash. It's quote to cash. And I go, yeah, the world doesn't end when you get the cash. What happens is you have a prospect, some kind of buyer, that is going to engage with your brand online, with a human, at a trade show, et cetera. You take them through the process, they become a customer. The end of the day, what you want them to become is an advocate for your brand. So once you get the cash, it's not like, great, I got the cash, I have to go. What you want to do is you want to say, they're now a customer, they're now part of our brand story, and how do I get them to continue to advocate on my behalf when they're on the golf course or at a meeting or at an association or at an executive dinner, and they all of a sudden start to tell my story on my behalf as the sales rep who sold that to them. And then the next time, it's much easier because everyone knows the story and I didn't have to tell it. Right? I don't have to walk in and convince them of how great my technology, my product, or my service is. And when you understand what's driving loyalty, the influence that things have, small things. They respond immediately when you reach out, maintain your personal privacy, et cetera. This is from some new research that's actually launching this week for us, for state of sales and state of the connected customer, and really thinking about what are the things that we can do better by highlighting for you what are people saying about the sales process, about loyalty, about drivers of customer experience, et cetera. Now, as you heard from our host, he's from Australia, and I was down there a couple of weeks ago, and my experience was that I was getting ready to go. I was staying at 4 hotels over the course of a week and a half, and I didn't have my loyalty number in because someone had taken care of the reservation for me from Australia. So I called the hotel. It might happen to be the hotel brand we're in, and I stay here a lot at this brand, and so I have the highest level in their loyalty program. And so I call up and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to be in 4 properties. Can I just give you my loyalty number? My reservation number. So I went to give the reservation number, and she goes, oh, I'm sorry, hold on a second. It has a letter in front of it. It must be international. I can't help you. So what I suggest you do is hang up and call the properties individually. I'm sorry. You want me to hang up and call 4 international hotels? I don't even know the numbers. And then you want me to give them my loyalty. Really? Okay, I didn't say anything. So now what was the decision at that moment? There's a couple of things that would happen. At the end of the day, you say, it didn't meet my expectations. Didn't meet my expectations. Now, I don't know what expectations I had, but they definitely were not that. I actually didn't think that was going to be the response. So I didn't even for a moment go, they're going to make me hang up and call. That just didn't even cross my mind, because when in the US and I call, they take care of all, and they know who I am because of my cell phone number, and lots of things happen automatically. I've come to expect that experience. And so the problem is I'm so far committed that I can't necessarily leave the brand. So I'm trapped. Wasn't a great experience. But then I get an upgrade when I come to Dreamforce. Okay, things are better, right? And so it's this balance between this loyalty of anticipating the customer need. I understand I'm a 1% or a 5% flyer where I happen to travel in multiple countries and I have multiple kinds of demands where most customers are in same country. At least, I understand that adds some complexity. But I know, not only because of where I work, but I know, and we all know, that technology could actually have solved that problem. Right? They could have solved that problem. There's an easy fix for that, but they chose not to do it. And what happens is, when expectations get missed, is the experience becomes the product. Increasingly, the experience becomes the product. And so now, of course, because we're being filmed, I didn't say the brand name. But if I did say the brand name and then you guys all decided to tweet it, now all of a sudden my story, I'm not advocating on their behalf, that's for sure, right? The story becomes, wow, this is what happened. That was such a miss. Like, what a bad customer experience, et cetera. It could have been fixed very, very easily. Now, how do you bring that together? How do you solve that problem? If technology can do it, which we know it can, how do you do it? How do you achieve a customer-driven sales organization? And I'm going to qualify this. Sales to me, sales, service, right? Anybody touching a customer that has a moment, a micro moment, in order to change the perception of a brand, okay? So the first area to improve is one that is near and dear to my heart. As I said, I'm a recovering seller. How many of you in the room are from marketing? Sorry. Okay, so I apologize up front. That's all your fault. No, I'm kidding. We sell everything. You just give us bad leads, right? Right. Okay. So disconnected teams. You have this disconnection between marketing, service, and sales in a silo of not understanding what the other does. Marketing thinks sales just doesn't do anything with the leads. Sales think marketing just doesn't know what they're talking about, right? The decks aren't right, the messaging isn't, the promos are terrible. Okay, you have this disconnection. When people move towards greater alignment, also from this research we're about to launch, it actually has much more impact on the changing in the customer expectations, the resources needed to engage customers when they're connected, effectiveness of the current sales processes, cross-team collaboration. So I also did this exercise when I was in Australia in front of our Salesforce, and it was 100 people in the room. It was internal, and I asked a question, and we were having this love letter from sales to marketing conversation. I was writing the love letter, marketing had to listen. It was great. So the salespeople came up and I actually said, okay, marketer, she stood here, salesperson, he stood here. And I said, marketer, I want you to ask the sales rep what a sales qualified lead looks like and a marketing qualified lead looks like. So the first sales rep comes up and goes, it's gonna close in 30 days. And I go, then why do we need you? Like, don't say that. Like, you gotta say, we gotta work hard to close this business, right? So first guy says it's gonna close in 30 days. Next guy comes up and he says, well, I want all this data, all this information. I want all the content about how they found us, what they did while they were here. I want all this information. Next guy comes up. So once again, as you could see, as I said, with disruption and innovation, everybody had a different definition. So the first step out of this is go back on Monday morning, get your teams together, and agree on the definition of a marketing qualified lead and a sales qualified lead. And that becomes your true north. Then there's no argument about we're not getting good leads, sales isn't doing anything with them. Once you change the relationship, the next thing that needs to change is the metric. The next problem is that sales is very easy. You hit your number, you don't. Marketing is, yeah, we delivered 1,000 leads. 999 of them were bad, but we delivered 1,000. Sales is, no, I have to close 1,000 deals. There is no 999 didn't close. I have to close 1,000 deals. There's no wiggle room. So trying to get the goals aligned between the groups is sales first measure of success is quota, marketing's tend to be leads, and service is resolution. So now let's go back to my story of the hotel. Why do you think he told me to hang up and call? Was it because a process problem? Like he wasn't allowed to actually outbound call? Possible. Was it that he had to get off the call in a minute and a half, otherwise he'd get dinged for a metric that is being managed of him? So then you say, okay, maybe that was what it was. Maybe it was because the metrics weren't connected and he wasn't even empowered to make the decision on the customer's behalf. So now I can't really get mad at him, because I know the technology can do it. So it has to be a people or process problem, right? Or he just wasn't empowered to make the decision. So when you say that you have disconnected teams and disconnect your metrics, the place it starts to manifest itself is how do you shift the metric to a place where it isn't just about how many calls did you make, how many deals are in the pipe, how many are probability to close, the 10 or 12 things that we all track as sales leaders and sales reps, et cetera. We know those. Those are easy to track. You could still do it in an Excel spreadsheet. Not advisable, but you could. You can't do the soft stuff on the customer side, the experience, service. You can't do things like Net Promoter Scores. How many of you actually survey customer satisfaction? Okay. So then you say, how many of you survey for the experience they have during processes of your business? So when they engage with service, okay. How many of you then surveyed, some of you, this may not make sense to all of you, but how many of you then survey your customer's customer if you're providing technology or a solution that they're using on your behalf? How many of you go down one more layer? Anybody? A couple, okay. So you always have to remember that if you're not enabling them to be successful with their customer, that will increase your customer satisfaction scores. And so thinking about deeper relationships is making sure deeper is not only with your customer, but making sure that you're ensuring that their relationship is also strong, especially if you are representing, a Salesforce-like solution and you're the one deploying it or you're the one using it, or more importantly, internally you're using it and you want to make sure that your internal stakeholders are looking at metrics. Now, these are the metrics that bubble up that all your managers want to see, right? Well, probability to close, what's the likelihood? I want to have predictability in my business, that's all the stuff we can track. It's the things now on the KPI side, key performance indicators, where customer experience and success, looking at the sales process, organizational performance, account management, rep performance against productivity, forecast, pipeline, guided selling, et cetera. Once again, these top three, what always concerns me is a lot of it is internal. Meaning, you're looking at it from an inside out. What do you want to track? I want to track what my sales reps do. I want to know what they have in their pipeline. I want to know what deals are on the table. I. Instead of saying, hold on a second, what do our customers want from us? And then how do I build metrics around that? Like, I wanted them to call all the 4 hotels and take care of that for me. And so do they have a solution? So could they then say, we've satisfied a dozen international requests today, and while the call time spiked, we know why it spiked. That call center rep has not done anything wrong. They aligned perfectly to what we wanted from the customer experience standpoint. And so when you think about customer experience, the third thing that you have to get in alignment, right? If you have teams are disconnected, metrics are disconnected, the next one is this customer experience is disconnected. Marketing is focused on the journey. Sales is focused on the process. I'm here to tell you that those two things do not meet ever until the deal closes. A buyer is on their journey. We are on a sales process. Those are not the same things. So let's talk about that. You're my customer, I'm your sales rep, you call in, and I can tell, whether you listen to CEB's research or anybody else's, right, 68, 70% of the buyer journey is completed before they ever reach out to a sales rep, right? That's what we've been hearing for a number of years. And you call in, first call, I'm your sales rep. It's time for me to enter that information into my Salesforce love relationship I have with data entry. I'm going to enter it. Anybody want to guess at what percentage of probability to close I'm going to put that at? If I know he's 70% through his buyer journey, what percentage will I put it in my SFA? Come on, sellers. Honesty is good. Let it out. 10, thank you. Honest, love it. There is no, how many of you would have put the deal at 70% probability to close? Yeah, not going to happen. So, buyer journey, 70%. Sales probability, 10%. That's a big difference. And why is it at 10? You're managing management most of the time. But the other reason is because the sales process is absolutely different than the buying journey. So when you think that the disconnected experiences are not impacting the behavior, the intentional and unintentional decisions that you make in process manifest themselves in the experience, right? Like mine. They made a decision, do not call internationally to do that. Get off the phone in a minute and a half. You're not allowed, whatever decision they made, or, by the way, they made no decision and that guy made the decision on his own, which is also possible. Like he just didn't know what to do, so he said, I can't help you. I'm going to hang up and you can call them. And when customers expect this unified and relevant experience, what's fascinating to me is the fact that chief marketing officers from this study, this isn't from ours, 86% believe they're going to own the end-to-end customer experience by 2020. What was fascinating with this study, the two are separate studies, so on the right is not the data from the left. But the 86%, what was interesting was the follow-up question to that was, what channels do you actually think you're going to engage with customers at? Out of the 12 channels, sales was not one of them. Fantastic. You're going to own the end-to-end customer experience, and sales has nothing to do with it. Excellent. As soon as you carry a quota, I'm in, right? So the problem is let's go back to disconnected teams. If 86% of CMOs think that they own the end-to-end experience and one of their channels is not sales, we have a problem. And so their top priorities is actually, how do I get better at connecting with the team? But then it doesn't manifest itself in what they're saying, right? What they're saying is, we're going to own it. Sales isn't potentially a channel for us. And so you end up with this, customers getting the exact experience you intentionally or unintentionally designed for them. We then land at, I've told you a lot of things, disconnected teams, disconnected metrics, customer experience, make the right decisions. Customer experience is the new battleground. Sales reps have to have a love affair with the technology in order to use it and leverage it for all its power. And trust me, now on this new role, when I'm in front of customers and I hear how they're using our technology and other technology around it, it's really spectacular. Some amazing stories out there about how people are really driving business differently. So my recommendation to you on Monday morning is to establish a customer-centric, outside-in view. Start with your customer. Use that example like I said. Find those examples and how do you solve it? How do you change the experience? You must redefine the relationships between influence and engagement in all the touch points, whether you're touching a human, a machine, a thing, a smartwatch, a mobile device, whatever it might be. And it's not about avoiding performance metrics. I don't want you to hear that what I said was KPIs should not be about the natural and normal and sustained KPIs and metrics. It's that you have to start thinking about those that will foster the right behavior. Get that call center guy to put me on hold and reach out and solve that problem for me. The only way you can do that is shift from big data intelligence to predictive selling. Actually, the most competitive, for those of you who are salespeople, your challenge is not going to come from other salespeople that are selling the way they're selling today. It's going to come from people who are selling backed by intelligence and analytics, because they're smarter selling than you are, right? It's about being smarter, working smarter, not harder. When you shift, you then need to move from this segmentation-driven marketing to this intimate sales engagement, all the way through the process of selling. More importantly, making sure you align yourself at those touch points between the buyer journey and the selling process. That intimate sales engagement does not always have to be human. It can be machine, it can be automation, it can be intelligence. So don't think I've just said to you, you have to increase the amount of people. You just have to be smarter with the people you have and use that technology, exploit that technology the way that it can be, which you're going to hear a lot of this week. So in the future, a customer-driven sales organization will completely reset the value and meaningful engagement with customers. It's in our hands. This isn't a technology problem. It's a mindset, it's a culture, it's a process issue. But I have full faith when you walk out of here on Thursday or Friday at the end of this week, and when you walk out of these great sessions for the remainder of this afternoon, you're going to be ready to go start and rock the world on Monday morning and hit the remainder of your quotas for the end of the year. But with that, I appreciate your time and your attention. I hope that you found this valuable, and it was a great kickoff to a wonderful day. And now I'm going to pass it back over and appreciate your time. Thank you.